9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Welcome into the Chris Hand Show. I just saw the title on the episode, and the guys put Friday Eve. Like this is a Murphy. We mess with Murphy that way. We don't need that to start bleeding over into this show. I do want to. It's all right. It's all right. I do want to give a shout out real quick. I got a picture from my wife. My wife sent me a picture. The kids are all going to the playground. They had to stop and get gas first. And my 4-year-old Bishop was pumping the gas. So I know he's listening. I just want to say, Bishop, good job helping Mom. Proud of you, bud. It's a big deal when you pump the gas. Yesterday, we had the trial of the century. I'm looking at the ticker now. The jury's been in deliberation for 5 hours and 12 minutes. What's going to happen to Donald Trump? Well, he wasn't too impressed yesterday as he's leaving the courtroom. Jeff, I need a little audio. He wasn't impressed.
Thank you very much. I would say, in listening to the charges from the judge, who's, as you know, very conflicted and corrupt, because of the confliction, very, very corrupt. Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged. The whole country's a mess between the borders and fake elections, and you have a trial like this where the judge is so conflicted he can't breathe. He's got to do his job, and it's not for me, that I can tell you.
He says Mother Teresa couldn't beat these charges. Well, we're gonna find out, it seems, pretty soon if Trump is going to beat these charges.
It's a disgrace, and I mean that. Mother Teresa could not beat those charges, but we'll see. We'll see how we do. It's a very disgraceful situation. Every single legal scholar and expert said this is no case. It shouldn't be brought, and it certainly could have been brought 7 years ago, not in the middle of a presidential election. It was all done by Joe Biden. This judge contributed to Joe Biden, and far worse than that, but I'm not allowed to talk about it because I have a gag order. Far worse than that, by 1,000 times worse than that. The worst I've ever heard, but I can't talk about it. It'll be talked about, but I'm not allowed to talk about it.
No, Donald Trump can't talk about it because he has a gag order. I can talk about it. He's referencing the judge's daughter who takes money from Democrats. He's referencing the Biden officials that are in the courtroom helping further these charges. They're political in their nature, and the jury yesterday was dismissed for the day after deliberating for hours. They also requested to be given testimony from David Pecker, who's the former publisher of the National Enquirer, and former Trump attorney Michael Cohen. It was an insane day. It was an insane day. And I saw this tweet from NBC News, their senior legal correspondent, breaking down how much instructions the jury has. They have 50 pages of instructions from Judge Merchant.
I got it. These are the instructions that the jury has to follow in Donald Trump's hush money trial before they can reach a verdict. 53 pages. This is complicated. This is lengthy stuff. It took the judge over an hour to read it. But guess what? The jury doesn't get this in the room during deliberations. They have to write questions. They have to write notes. They don't get these instructions. In New York, both parties have to agree and the judge has to agree. And in this case, it didn't happen. They don't have this in the room right now.
So they have all these instructions, 53 pages of instructions, and they don't get them in the room. It sounds insane. And I'll admit, I've never been on a jury. I don't really know how that stuff shakes out. But 53 pages of instructions, you're not allowed to bring it into the courtroom, into the deliberation room, and you have to write down your questions that you have and bring them to the judge. And they did that yesterday. They brought the questions about David Pecker. They brought the questions about the testimony from Michael Cohen. And before being dismissed, the jury signaled that it had the note for Merchant, who is overseeing everything. And they said, we have these questions. We have these questions. Jurors requested for the testimony from Pecker's phone call with Trump. Pecker was the first person to testify in the trial. His tabloid reportedly engaged in catch and kill practices to bury damaging Trump stories. The jury also requested to have Pecker's testimony regarding a decision to finalize and fund former Playboy model Karen McDougal's life rights, Pecker's testimony regarding a Trump Tower meeting, and Cohen's testimony on a meeting at Trump Tower. I'm just waiting. We're all just waiting. When is this going to happen? And then you hear, Post Millennial has this story, Judge Merchant broke the jury into 3 groups to weigh the charges against Trump. 3 groups. As the jury deliberates a verdict in the Manhattan case regarding falsified business records, Merchant has divided the jury into 3 groups to deliberate. 3 groups. The district attorney's office elevated the falsification of business record charges to felonies from misdemeanors, alleging that this was done in the commission of another crime. One group will weigh the issue of election fraud, another on tax fraud, and the third on the falsification of business records. To go further on this absurd instruction, the honorable judge is splitting the jury into 3 groups of 4. One group will handle election fraud, one tax fraud, and one the falsification of business records, Andrew Giuliani wrote. Judge Merchant has also reportedly informed the jury that unanimity on the second crime is not required to convict. Not required to convict. And that will handle the 444 as a unanimous verdict. So they're breaking up the crimes, they're breaking up the jury, and it will be counted as unanimous. Closing arguments in the case were made Tuesday. You know that. The jury received 53 pages of instructions from Judge Merchant. Trump's defense team argued on May 21st during a hearing that the jury should be required to agree on a predicate crime to find Trump guilty of the felony charges. The prosecutor said that the law does not require jurors to do that. Insanity. And as the reaction comes in, that's just as crazy, too. I didn't expect this. Shannon Bream of Fox News really got into it with Alina Habba yesterday, who's one of Trump's attorneys. This was a stunning turn of events. It started out pretty good. It didn't start out chaotic, but it quickly devolved into Shannon really pushing back on Alina. But the first question was, is this trial a net positive for Trump?
Has been in the polls. It has been in fundraising. So is there a net positive to him from this whole thing?
Well, if you want to look at it from a political standpoint, I think then, yeah, that's different. We have Americans, we have people that were Biden supporters. I can't imagine how or why, but they're now waking up and saying, whoa, this is not America. This is very un-American, and we can't survive another 4 years of this. So if you want to look at it that way, sure. But I don't think countries need to hit rock bottom. I don't understand why we couldn't have continued on an upward trajectory of American morals, of the Constitution. I'm not sure why we had to hit this low point, to be honest, but if that's what gets President Trump back in office.
If that's what gets President Trump back in office. I agree with Alina Habba. I wish we didn't have to hit the bottom, but we're here. And you know what? The polling shows that this really has helped Trump, or at the best. It's helped Trump at best, and at worst, it's affected nothing. But Shannon says, Alina, you bring up morals, and then goes after Trump for his alleged lack of morals.
But when you talk about things like morals, people will say, this is a case about a former president, somebody who was running for president, paying off a porn star who alleges that she had a relationship with him. I mean, that sparks a whole other conversation about morality, who's running the country. Obviously, voters in 2016, it was not a problem, or they factored in what they knew about the Access Hollywood tape and other things, and they were comfortable sending President Trump to the White House. Yeah. They've had 4 years to think about the way he performed, now 4 years of President Biden. But some of them will always now have this vision with President Trump that these kinds of dramas and things will be just part of his package, part of what comes with him as president.
It's called extortion. Extortion is something that happens with people when they are powerful, when they are strong-voiced, and when people listen to them. It is a natural consequence of being a very effective human being in this unfortunate culture that we have. It is litigious. That is what America has become. And Joe Biden, unfortunately, can't really do anything in office, so he's got to use the same means as somebody who's just trying to have a quick slip and fall and make money. And that is frankly what we're seeing right now. This is exactly a Biden show.
So Alina says, listen, that the charges and the accusations from Stormy Daniels are extortion. You can go back to Stormy Daniels' own statements where she says it never happened. Or, you might just believe it and go, whatever. That's up to you to decide. But it gets chippy here between Alina and Shannon when she says this is a Biden show trial. Shannon Bream says, well, listen, the Biden administration's not responsible for this trial. What? What do you mean?
But the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial?
It's a state trial. It's Alvin Bragg. Whether you think there's a political motive for him, it's not connected to the DOJ. I mean,
Shannon,
the feds passed on these election charges.
Shannon, you should look at how many logs they have of state officials, Letitia James, Fannie Willis, visiting the White House, and then tell me that this is not a Biden trial.
Yep.
I don't
care. The feds pass on this case is the point I'm
You're
making.
right. The feds pass on this case. Also, DA Cy Vance passed on this case. And
years ago, and then it came back.
And Bragg passed on this case. You know when it came back? When he decided to run for office. Mm-hmm. So tell me how that's not an indication that Joe Biden, who just sent his campaign down here with Robert De Niro yesterday, isn't a part of this. Frankly, any question that we had of that was squashed yesterday. And if you have even more concerns about whether he's involved in this, look at the fact that he is literally publicizing for tonight to have a speech if a verdict comes out.
Yeah, he's been publicizing that for a couple of days, that if the speech comes out, he's going to do it in a White House setting, no matter the verdict. How does Shannon Bream not think that this is a Biden trial? How does she not think that this is political? It's incredible to me. I thought Shannon was, pretty smart. I thought that she was on the ball. Shannon also pushes back against Biden wanting to do a White House setting address on the verdict. And she says, well, any president would want to weigh in on the verdict.
Do you not think, though, that any president would want to weigh in on something that's this historic, a former president, his predecessor, whatever the verdict or decision may be?
I wish that Biden had that same sentiment about the border, fentanyl, and our children being mutilated. I would prefer that he would focus on the real things instead of trying to attack his political opponent, who he just cannot beat.
Roasted. I wish Biden would bring that same energy to things that matter instead of attacking his political opponents. For Shannon Bream to go on Fox News and say that these charges aren't political is a joke. It's an absolute joke. Look at the logs from people visiting the White House. Look at who's in the White House on the prosecution team, was in the White House and now is on the prosecution team. You can go down the list. Do your own research, though. It doesn't sound like Shannon Bream's done any research. She's just looked at her talking points from her producers, and that's what she's rolling with. Donald Trump responded to Shannon Bream on True Social. He said, I never knew Shannon Bream was so naive. In her interview with my representative, Alina Habba, Shannon just suggested that crooked Joe Biden was not involved in my show trial. How stupid. Not only is he involved, he's virtually leading it, and all of the other trials as well, meaning his people, because he's not mentally sharp enough to lead anything. Just take a look at the DOJ White House thugs involved and everything else. Biden is incompetent and feels that weaponization is the only way he can win. He's counting on the Shannon Breams of the world to get him there. Bad day for Shannon. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hannon. I got to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You know Busy Bee. I know Busy Bee. They've been to my house. Great guys. And when I needed them at my house, they were there in less than an hour. I'll tell you why, because I'm a Beehive member. When you're a Beehive member, you get front-of-the-line service. When you have those needs and your maintenance calls, they'll get to you right away. And they did that for me. And you might think becoming a Beehive member is crazy expensive. It's actually not. It's only $99, and you get so much value, it will pay for itself. It comes with 3 annual tune-ups, one for your heating, one for your cooling, one for your plumbing, a 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. All of that comes with the Beehive Club membership for $99. You can't beat that deal. And if you've been waiting and kicking the can on doing your maintenance on your AC, it's time to do it. I was waiting. I was kicking the can. I had an issue pop up with my AC. Don't be like me. Don't find out that you have dirty coils. It's embarrassing. Get your AC maintained today with Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The jury in Donald Trump's New York hush money case, they resumed deliberations about an hour ago. We'll hear the latest. And unemployment claims are up. We'll have details. Those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand, getting a lot of reaction from you guys on the Members Nutrition text line because of Shannon Bream yesterday on Fox News. Saying this.
But the Biden administration's not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration's not responsible for this trial?
It's a state trial. It's Alvin Bragg. Whether you think there's a political motive for him, it's not connected to the DOJ.
It's not connected to the DOJ. A lot of people weighing in on the Members Nutrition text line. They say Shannon Bream is secretly a Democrat, says 3902. 7721 says Bream is trying to stay neutral to be a debate moderator. Yeah, maybe. Larry, too, played the clip, sent the clip of we're Fox News and we suck. So just saying. Yep. We understand that. We understand. Yeah, 1509 says she seems like she's all part of the media mafia now. Yep, I understand that.
I mean,
Shannon,
the feds passed on these election charges.
Shannon, you should look at how many logs they have of state officials, Letitia James, Fannie Willis, visiting the White House, and then tell me that this is not a Biden trial. I don't care.
Feds pass on this case is the point I'm making.
Right. The feds passed on this case. Also, DA Cy Vance passed on this case. And
years ago, and then it came back.
And Bragg passed on this case. You know when it came back? When he decided to run for office. Mm-hmm. So tell me how that's not an indication that Joe Biden, who just sent his campaign down here with Robert De Niro yesterday, isn't a part of this. Frankly, any question that we had of that was squashed yesterday. And if you have even more concerns about whether he's involved in this, look at the fact that he is literally publicizing for tonight to have a speech if a verdict comes out.
Yeah, and when Robert De Niro went there for a campaign stop, they had campaign spokesmen. They had the J6 police officers that Biden is going to have campaigning with him. They were all there. They had trash bags full of Biden-Harris signs. It's not politically motivated at all. Nope. Can't be.
No way.
Can't be.
Impossible. Inconceivable.
Remove the thought from your head. It's not politically motivated. So says Shannon Bream.
I don't think, though, that any president would want to weigh in on something that's this historic, a former president, his predecessor, whatever the verdict or decision may be.
I wish that Biden had that same sentiment about the border, fentanyl, and our children being mutilated. I would prefer that he would focus on the real things instead of trying to attack his political opponent, who he just cannot beat.
Yeah, and you know what? Biden is focusing on some different things. He's campaigning in Philadelphia, pandering for the black vote because he's losing support in record numbers. And he even has his wife out there campaigning. She was on The View yesterday. I got all that audio for you on the way after the news with Jay Harper on Super Talk 99.7.
Good morning. It is 9:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sunshine, 70 degrees on Music Row. A complete weather forecast is on the way. The jury in Donald Trump's New York hush money trial resuming deliberations today. Jurors requested to rehear previous testimony from former Trump attorney Michael Cohen and former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, as well as the judge's instructions. Criminal defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Tim Jansen, he tells ABC's Judge Merchant's instructions were pretty complicated and will probably need to be reviewed several times.
I imagine that they're probably going to have the instructions read a couple more times before they get to any kind of verdict.
The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits has gone up. Here's ABC's Derek Dennis.
The Labor Department reports jobless claims last week rose by 3,000 to 219,000. That's up from 216,000 unemployment claims from the week before. Still, layoffs remain historically low despite stubborn inflation and high interest rates. In April, employers added just 175,000 jobs, the fewest in 6 months. The unemployment rate stands at 3.9%, marking 27 months below 4 4%, the longest streak since the 1960s.
Back in Nashville, a suspect in custody after a man was stabbed at a We Go bus stop in the Edge Hill community early this morning. According to police, a man was found suffering from stab wounds at the bus stop at the intersection of 12th Avenue South and Edge Hill Avenue. This happened around 5 o'clock this morning. The man transported to the hospital for treatment. No word on the extent of his injuries. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. It's 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm looking at CNN right now, and the headline is, the judge is rereading part of his instructions to the jury. Yeah, he's going to need to. It's 53 pages long, and it took him an hour to read it the first time. More on that on the way. But first, hey, it's Chris Hand here for my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. You know Paul from his over 20 years as the host of the Investor Coaching Show. We run it every Saturday, 3 to 6. Great show. Must listen. It's appointment listening, really. But you may not know that he started that show after he spent time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's pretty cool. That's how Paul got his start in the industry. And he's an avid collector of financial planning designations now. He has up to 8. And so my wife and I work with Paul. We knew we wanted to work with Paul because I heard him on WTN before I got my show here. I was learning from Paul before I ever met him. And when I came on board, it was just an easy choice. His was the firm I wanted to work with. And it's because Paul and his team hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. Because of that, Paul wants to make sure I tell you that I get paid when I do these commercials. He's like, just open it up. Be honest. Be transparent. Let's start the relationship that way. I like that. I like that a lot. Where else do you hear that? I also like that Paul's team does nothing on commission. They really focus on education, though, and they want to educate you every step of the way so that way you never have that feeling of blind trust. And trust me, with Paul and his team, you are going to learn a lot. It starts by them taking a look at your whole financial picture because that is going to be unique to you. And then after they do that, they'll help you make some decisions. Set up a 15-minute phone call today. Let's get this ball rolling downhill. Go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, californiaclosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, californiaclosets.com.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You want to join in on the show? You can text. You can call 615-737-9986. CNN, yesterday, they were reporting, it was last evening, that the polling hasn't changed during the trial. They asked a bunch of people, do you think Trump did something illegal? They asked him at the beginning of the trial, and they asked them now. Hasn't changed at all. Not a bit.
John, that it began, but apparently it's 44 days. You cracked the numbers. You've run the numbers. All right, let's take a look here. Think Trump did something illegal in the New York hush money case. I've been interested in whether or not these numbers would change at all during the course of this trial. Simply put, John, they have not. Pre-opening statements think Trump did something illegal, 46%. After the direct examination of Michael Cohen by the prosecution, look at where we are now, 46%. The percentage of Americans who think that the charges are very serious, in fact, dropped from 40% to a little bit more than 35% during the course of this trial. So, yes, perhaps things might have changed with those 12 jurors, but when it comes to the larger American public, there has been no change, at least so far, John.
So, do you think Trump did something guilty? Do you think Trump did something illegal? No change in public opinion. Do you think the charges are serious? Do you think these are serious charges? That's actually dropped. That's dropped. And the CNN anchor is just stunned. Absolutely stunned.
Any possible reasons why?
Yeah, I could give you a list of reasons why. People think these charges are politically motivated. People think you can't beat Trump, so you're going after him with lawfare. People want you to focus on the southern border. People want you to focus on the in-store prices and the rampant inflation. I can think of a lot of reasons why.
Yeah, I think the question is, what's exactly cooking here? Why hasn't there been much of a change? Well, folks like you and me, real news junkies, might be paying really close attention to what's going on. The fact is, most Americans don't really care that much. So closely following news about economy inflation, that's number one at 65%. Look at immigration, 52%. Election legitimacy, 49%. Abortion, 47%. All the way down on this list of issues tested by the Ipsos Knowledge Panel is Trump's court cases at 42%.
Oh, you mean people don't care about Trump's court cases when the country is falling apart? Shocker.
Significantly less than economy and inflation. The fact is, John, when we're looking at these numbers, what we see is Americans' minds aren't changing, and a big reason why Americans' minds aren't changing is at this particular point, John, they are tuned out of the conversation.
Tuned out, bro. Too many court cases. We know it's politically motivated. We're not listening. We're not listening. The Orange Man Bad crowd, they're eating it up. They love this stuff. Regular, everyday Americans who are just struggling to pay bills and put food on the table, they don't have time for this. They don't have time for this at all. They want somebody to fix the country. Joe's not doing it. Trump can. And the Biden camp, the Biden campaign, they understand what's happening in the poll numbers. They understand what's happening in these court cases. And they know they have to do something, anything. We're losing numbers with black voters. We're losing numbers with Latino voters. We're losing numbers with youth voters. Losing numbers everywhere. Got to do something. Quick, somebody come up with an idea. What can we do? I know, says an intern in the back. Let's have Jill Biden go on The View. It's a great idea. Great idea. And Jill Biden goes on The View, and she says, listen, guys, this is about good versus evil.
Fearful for what that could look like, but consistently we're seeing poll after poll that are showing Trump beating your husband outside of the margin of error. Are you fearful of what a second Trump term could look like?
Or a third, as Donald Trump says. So I believe that Americans are going to choose good over evil.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's strange to say. I agree. I agree with Dr. Jill Biden. I think Americans are going to choose good over evil. It's just different opinions on what's the good and what's the evil, I think, is where we disagree. They asked her about the debate as well. Got to ask her about the debate.
Well, Dr. Biden, the first presidential debate is less than a month away, and we've debated at this table. There have been people that have thought President Biden shouldn't even debate President Trump just due to the fact that Donald Trump will gaslight, he overtalks, there are no guardrails. So stalks. Yeah.
You hear that Joy Behar in the back. He stalks. That's a callback to the 2016 debates with Hillary.
So stalks. Yeah. Well, I happen to believe it's really important, more than ever, to have a debate with guardrails. What is the strategy that the president has going into this? Any tips you'd have for a debate that we could pull off where we could actually hear our candidates?
They've built that in where they're going to turn off those mics so that somebody can't ramble or scream at somebody. Not that my husband would be the one doing that.
Joe screams at people all the time. He was just at the commencement at West Point. He just randomly starts screaming about Putin before he says, I shouldn't get into this. I get all excited. Joe screams at people all the time. He screams about MAGA extremists. He screams at people all the time. Joe rambles. When Joe Biden said, we're going to prevent people from rambling, I immediately went to, muting the mic, it actually may benefit Biden, because when he goes off on a tangent, they'll just mute him. They'll save him. And they ask her, what's the strategy? What's Joe's strategy? A lot of methamphetamines, I would imagine.
And so that's already been negotiated. And, I think the American people deserve a debate because you need to see your choices. You need to see Trump, and you need to see the president, and you need to see the differences. And my husband's, and you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has. And then you'll see somebody who, like you're saying, I'm going to use Joy's words, can't put a sentence together.
You're going to see how smart Joe is. And then you're going to see somebody who can't put a sentence together. What planet is Dr. Jill living on? I know she loves power. I know that. A good wife would have brought her husband home by now. I understand she really wants to keep being the first lady. But she's just lying to the American public. And Trump can't put a sentence together. Lady, this is your husband yesterday in Philadelphia.
Forget lying around. We'll never forget lying around. And him lying around, actually.
Can't put a sentence together. That's your husband, Dr. Jill.
And everything is beautiful and it's wonderful.
Tremendous.
Tremendous. Yeah. So I think the American people deserve to see the two men who are running for this office, because your choice is going to be clear.
I agree with that. Keep finding myself agreeing with her. The choice is going to be clear when we see them together. In fact, a lot of people think that the debates are happening so early, so that way when Joe Biden falls on his face, they can replace him. They can swap him out for Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom or Hillary. Nobody thinks that this guy's getting across the finish line. Is he going to be the candidate? He might be. But he's going to have to pull off something incredible to beat Trump at this point. Honestly. And Jill Biden, she understands what's at stake. She understands how close they are to losing this election. And so she goes out there and she fearmongers. And she says, well, listen, if Trump wins, we get more Republicans on the Supreme Court. And if we get more Republicans on the Supreme Court, we'll lose all of our rights.
Can you imagine if we put any more Republicans on the Supreme Court? No. We will lose all of our rights.
What rights have you lost? Honestly. Roe v. Wade was overturned. I understand that that's what she's looking at, but that gave the rights back to the states. Nobody lost rights. It's just mind-blowing. The fear-mongering. And they have to try and make this election about abortion. They have to. They have to try and make this election about lawfare. They have to, because they can't campaign on the economy. They can't campaign on foreign policy. They can't campaign on the southern border. They can't campaign on anything other than emotions. That's all they have. That's all the left has, emotional arguments. Emotions. The View, one of the hosts says, well, what message does the president have to give to get people to see what he's done? I always love this question because it keeps coming up. Well, Americans aren't getting the messaging. What message do we have to give? And then the person that's being asked that question will go on a tirade when they have an opportunity on national TV to give that message and then not give the message.
What message does the president have to give to make people get it that we are in a better place now?
Yeah. Well, we are in a better place now, and what you're saying is true, and we have to get out that message.
Now, here's the part where she could get out the message, but there's no message to get out.
Every vote counts. This election is important. And so we are going everywhere. We're meeting people where they are. We're meeting them in person. We're meeting them over the TV. We're meeting them in social media.
Over the TV?
We're meeting them over the TV.
Just knocking on the glass of the camera. Hello.
She should have looked right at the camera and said, I'm Joe Biden. Nice to meet you.
Everywhere. We're meeting people where they are. We're meeting them in person. We're meeting them over the TV. We're meeting them in social media. We're not taking anything for granted because Joe has done amazing things for this country, and we have to get the message out.
But you didn't say anything. You didn't give us any message. You didn't. You had an opportunity. Said we're going to meet people everywhere because we have to get the message. You're on TV. You just said you're going to meet people over the TV and you don't get the message out. They don't have a message. They don't have a leg to stand on. They have nothing. So they'll lean on lawfare, they'll lean on abortion, and they'll probably lean on gun control. That's going to be their message. Fear, anxiety, doom and gloom. That's the message of the Democrat Party. Make no mistake about it. On the flip side, Trump's message is very clear. He's going to bring back the economy. He's going to cut taxes. He's going to secure the southern border. He's going to go on the largest deportation effort in the history of the country. Those are real messages that are resonating with people. Trump is the one that's actually meeting people where they're at. Trump is walking into the Libertarian National Convention. Trump is going to the Bronx. Trump is going to be in Detroit. Joe Biden couldn't fill a room in Philadelphia yesterday. In Philly. Deep blue Philly. The pictures from Joe Biden's event yesterday, if you look at the one the mainstream media is showing, looks like a packed room. Well, because they put a nice angle on it. When you look at the other pictures, which I tweeted out at Chris Hand on Air, you can see the room is barely half full. And I would imagine the people that are there had to be there. But you got to get that message out. Got to get the message out. That's what they're focused on. It's about the message. Well, Joe tried to get his message out yesterday in front of a crowd in Philadelphia. I have that audio on the way. Plus, your calls, your reaction, your text messages at 615-737-9986. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
In the first full day of deliberations in the Trump trial, jurors have asked to rehear previous testimony from two key witnesses. We'll get an update. And those political ads, are they real? Well, perhaps seeing should not necessarily be believed. We'll explain. All of that coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 9:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Got a text from a hate listener, 4559. He's always texting mean things. Says, Dr. Jill should be campaigning for Joe. She supports him. So where's Melania? Ha, 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 ha. Or Trump's precious Ivanka. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, yeah. Jared and Vanki, too busy counting their billions from Saudis. Disgusting. You know what I think is disgusting, actually, 4559? When you're clearly suffering from dementia, you're clearly up there in age, you can't do the things like you used to, and your wife doesn't bring you home. My wife would never do that to me. I'm convinced that she loves the power, she loves being first lady more than she loves her husband, because she would bring him home and say, Joe, it's time to go spend time with our grandkids and live out your last years like that, not making a fool of yourself and ruining the country. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. That's what I would do. Go home. It's time. It's time. But instead, they're out on the campaign trail. They got to get the message out. It's about the messaging. And Joe Biden has decided to reset his campaign pitch to black voters. Yeah, oh yeah. He's got to. The plan is because the polling has found that Trump has nearly doubled his support among black men and women since 2020. The polling keeps looking bad for Joe Biden.
If you look at current CBS News battleground tracking polling, for example, in Pennsylvania among likely black voters compared to 4 years ago in the exit polls, he's down 10% among them, with former President Donald Trump making gains. Why that matters? Elections in Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, the battlegrounds, are all going to be decided by single digits, by maybe 4, just 5 figures. Any erosion of support among key constituencies to the Democratic voting coalition, black voters, younger voters, women, Latinos, is a big alarm bell to the president and his team, and a reason why they've got to make sure they're shoring it up.
They got to make sure they're shoring it up. It's not just CBS with that. NBC has the same data, and they're echoing the same statements.
Recent NBC News polling shows that President Biden's support among black voters has dropped since 2020. Back then, exit polls showed black voters supported Biden over Trump by 75 points. Now, that Biden advantage has narrowed to 58 points. Perhaps more concerning for Democrats, less enthusiasm. 4 years ago, 74% of black voters had high interest in the election. Now, it's just 59%.
So Biden's got to do something, and Biden's plan to counter Trump's gains includes relying on black student organizations, churches, community groups, and surrogates. Biden's going to be investing 8 figures to support these outreach programs, according to Axios. He's throwing money at the problem. Has Joe learned nothing from his presidency? When you have a problem, you shouldn't throw more money at it. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked for Joe Biden. Yet here he is. And meanwhile, Trump is really, really competing for the black vote. You can look at the Bronx rally, 25,000 people. Trump is going out there and hitting them with the messaging that they actually want to hear. The Biden camp, Jill Biden will say, oh, they're not hearing the messaging. Well, Trump knows what messaging Americans want to hear. Trump promised to restore safety to the streets. Trump is promising to get rid of the illegal aliens and secure the southern border. That's what people care about. Trump is promising to bring back the economy. And under Trump, it was booming. That's the message Americans want to hear. Not orange man bad, he's a racist, he's a criminal. Nobody's buying that anymore. They can keep trying to sell it, but nobody's buying it. And boy, did Biden try to sell it yesterday in Philadelphia. I got that audio for you after Jay Harper's news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sunshine, 72 degrees. We'll get that nice looking weather forecast to you here in just a couple of minutes. The jury in Donald Trump's New York hush money trial is resuming their deliberations today. Jurors requested to rehear previous testimony from former Trump attorney Michael Cohen and former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, as well as the judge's instructions. ABC's Aaron Katursky, he's camped out in front of the courthouse in New York.
The readback of testimony from Michael Cohen and David Pecker suggests the jury is focused on Trump's knowledge of and involvement in the alleged scheme to corrupt the 2016 election. 3 pieces of testimony from David Pecker focus on a conversation he had with Trump about Karen McDougal, the Playboy model paid $150,000, and about a meeting he had at Trump Tower with Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, where prosecutors say the scheme was hatched.
More state legislatures are having to confront the issue of artificial intelligence and its ability to deceive. Jim Ryan says that election year mischief is already happening and driving a call to action.
Images of Donald Trump being arrested or Joe Biden welcoming undocumented immigrants at the border were all fake.
There's a lot of concerns about the use of artificial intelligence to generate misinformation,
says University of Houston professor Ryan Kennedy. Colorado has become the latest of around a dozen states to pass laws limiting the use of deepfakes in political campaigns. But Kennedy says it's up to voters to check their sources.
What they see on their social media feed is not necessarily the truth.
That is the latest news. Weather, it's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Joe Biden is resetting his campaign. He's coming up with a new pitch for black voters. They know that they're losing in the polls. They're losing numbers to black voters to Trump. It's actually pretty competitive. 30% of black men and 11% of black women intend to vote for Trump in 2024. That's what Wall Street Journal polling data found. A significant increase from 2020. Back in 2020, only 12% of black men voted for Trump. So 30%, but in 2020 it was 12%. And in 2020, 6% of black women said they would vote for Trump. So the increase is huge, from 12 to 30, 6 to 11. And in these battleground states, that's what it's going to take. Just keep chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And Joe Biden knows that this is an issue. So Joe Biden decided, I'm going to go to Philadelphia, which is, it really is wild, because Philadelphia should be a home run, right? Shouldn't you be focusing on the areas that you think you need to be in, like the battleground states? That's what I think a campaign should focus on, not in solid blue Philadelphia. But maybe that gives us a kind of a sneak peek into how the campaign's actually feeling. If they need to campaign in Philadelphia, or maybe they think campaigning in Philadelphia is going to make them look strong because they can pack the house. Either way, it's bad. They couldn't pack the house yesterday. They couldn't. There's a picture going around the mainstream media that really makes it look like the place is slam-packed in Philly for Joe Biden. But there's another picture going around that the mainstream media isn't going to show. That shows the room is at least half empty, maybe up to 3/4 empty. You can find that picture on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air. But Joe's in Philadelphia, and he has to pander. That's what he's doing. He's pandering. So he goes out. He has Kamala Harris there with him, and they just start this rally. Black voters for Biden.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alina. Today I have the distinct honor of being here at the launch of Black Voters for Harris-Biden with our president and vice president.
Didn't start too hot. A lot of mic feedback. But did you hear what she said?
At the launch of Black Voters for Harris-Biden.
Oh, the launch of Black Voters for Harris-Biden. For Harris-Biden.
With our president and vice president.
Okay. That's interesting. They seem to make that mistake a lot. So Kamala gets up there. She's got to say a few words first, right? This is Black Voters for Biden after all. And Kamala Harris, she gets up there and she just oversells for Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, we have a fighter.
Ooh.
A leader with skill, vision, determination, and compassion. A leader who keeps his promises.
Okay. Skill, determination, passion, keeps his promises. Okay, I mean, that's not what I would have gone with, but okay. And then even Kamala panders to the crowd, and she channels, her inner sister act as the crowd cheers.
Do I see people testifying? Can I get a witness?
Do I see you testifying? Can I get a witness? This is in a school. It's not in a black church. Yet there she is. And Kamala, again, just keeps selling Joe Biden. She says she spends a lot of time with Joe. And then she even brags about the fact that they defied the Supreme Court ruling on student debt.
And I'll tell you, I have a unique position as vice president to spend a lot of time with our president. And on this subject, I remember sitting in the Oval Office with our president, Joe Biden, shortly after the United States Supreme Court struck down our initial plan to forgive billions of dollars in student loan debt. A different leader, a different kind of leader, would have thrown in the towel. Not Joe Biden. Not Joe Biden.
No, Joe knows he needs to buy the votes, so he kept going. It is really interesting, though. It is really interesting, though, to watch Kamala Harris oversell for Biden when, the internet lives forever. And just 4 years ago, Kamala Harris was calling Joe Biden the racist.
Praising and coddling individuals who made it their life works and built their reputation off of segregation of the races in the United States. That's a problem. To coddle the reputations of segregationists, of people who, if they had their way, I would literally not be standing here as a member of the United States Senate, is, I think, it's misinformed and it's wrong.
Does he apologize for that?
He's going to have to make that decision. But, let's be very clear that the senators that he is speaking of with such adoration are individuals who made and built their reputation on segregation. The Ku Klux Klan celebrated the election of one of them. So this is a very serious matter. That 1994 crime bill, it did contribute to mass incarceration in our country. It encouraged and was the first time that we had a federal three strikes law. It funded the building of more prisons in the states.
That's just Democrat things. Call your political opponents a racist, right? She did it to Joe Biden. Now she's doing it to Trump. Joe finally stumbles up the stage in Philadelphia, and he starts pandering in Philadelphia. And he actually made a shocking admission right in the beginning.
To me, the values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country. And it starts at the top with the vice president.
Did he just say Kamala Harris is a diversity hire? Is that what he said? And he also doesn't know what DEI stands for. He says diversity, equality, and inclusion. It's equity. It's equity, sir.
To me, the values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country. And it starts at the top with the vice president.
Yeah, okay, so Joe Biden admits Kamala Harris is a diversity hire. Is that what we're going with? Is that how he's going to reset his campaign pitch to black voters? Hey, I'm doing diversity hires too. It's quite the take. Quite the take. And, during this speech where he's trying to get more enthusiasm, more support from the black community, he gets up there and he just mumbles again and again and again.
Forget lying around. We'll never forget lying around. And him lying around, actually.
Oh. Okay.
Did he even finish that statement?
No.
Did he just stop?
Is this the message that they're trying to get out?
And him.
We got to get the message to the voters.
But I'm curious where he was going with it, because he just stops talking. He just...
Yep. That's Joe. That's Joe.
Powering down.
And they accuse Trump of pandering. They do. He accuses Trump of pandering a couple times.
I'm showing you who I am, and Trump has shown you who he is. And today, Donald Trump is pandering and peddling lies and stereotypes.
Donald Trump is pandering. Yet this entire speech of Joe Biden sounds like this.
They're trying to erase black history. We're going to write black history because it's American history.
Nobody's trying to erase black history. Nobody. In fact, if anybody's trying to replace the African-American population in this country, it's the Democrats who are allowing in millions upon millions of illegal aliens. That's hurting the African-American community first. They're diluting the power of the black vote with their open southern border. They're trying to erase black history. Republicans are. Okay. Who freed the slaves? Oh, it's Republican. Got it. Okay. But he says Trump is pandering. That's what he honestly believes.
I'm showing you who I am, and Trump has shown you who he is. And today, Donald Trump is pandering and peddling lies and stereotypes.
Trump is pandering. Trump is pandering.
It's the same guy who wanted to tear gas you as you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder.
Trump is the same guy that wanted to tear gas you while you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder. The riots and protests that tore down black neighborhoods.
And so I got involved.
This is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden pandering. But he accuses Trump of doing the same thing. See, this is what they do. It's always projection with the left. Always projection.
On Memorial Day, I proudly stood with a black man.
That's not pandering? That's not pandering? Sounds a lot like pandering to me. Sounds quite a bit like pandering. He even went as far to say that Donald Trump wouldn't be talking about pardons for J6ers if they were black. Yep. That's what he said. That's what Joe Biden said, which is funny because you can Google the political prisoner pictures, right? You can Google the J6 hostages, and I'll tell you what, looks like a diverse group of individuals. I see black people. I do. And Donald Trump didn't say, hey, I'm going to look into all these cases and instruct the DOJ to look into all these cases unless they're black. No. Nope. In fact, in the Bronx, Donald Trump said, listen, I'm for all Americans. Black, brown, green, blue, whatever. He's for Americans first. Joe Biden has put Americans last every step of the way. DJ in Nashville, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, DJ?
It's DJP, Chris. DJP. Don't forget the P.
All right, brother. What's up?
I was just talking to your producer. Why are we always grouping people by affiliating people with another country's name that doesn't pertain to them? Like, why do fellow black Americans call themselves African Americans? If they're not born in Africa, that's I think that term should not be used. They are fellow Americans of color. They just happen to have a darker skin, but they're Americans.
Yeah, I hate the hyphen, honestly. I hate it when it's Asian Americans. I hate it when it's Jewish Americans, black Americans. It's just Americans.
Exactly. See, I could use that hyphen because I was born in a different country from the Dominican Republic. So I'm a Dominican American because I became an American, became part of this great country, and I could call myself that. But if you're born here, you're native to this country. You are an American. And once you take an oath, Chris, okay, I don't consider I got to defend this country. I will fight for this country to the bitter end. I'm an American. That's what they tell you when you take when you become a citizen. You're no longer Russian. You're no longer Japanese or whatever. You are an American. Once you become an American, that's it, baby. You're an American.
How long have you been a citizen, DJP?
I've been a citizen since I was 16 years old, 1976. I've been in this country for 54 years. Okay?
How have you seen it change in your eyes?
I don't know where these people are crawling from, what rock. They have no common sense. It has gotten worse. I remember Jimmy Carter. Okay. He was very, very bad. We had to wait for gas. Okay. It was an embarrassment. But not like this. I have never seen people lose their moral values, no respect. Okay, I'm Catholic, and I grew up in a very, very strict Catholic household. Okay, my father, all he had to do was look at me. Okay, there's no respect, there's no fatherhood, there's no leadership, there's no family values anymore. Everybody is me. It's just terrible. But we keep the faith, okay, because America will never change.
Who are you voting for in November, DJP?
I've been a Republican. Ronald Reagan was my first vote, okay? And I'm a true die-hard Republican. That tells you everything. Donald Trump, baby, all the way.
Man, I always feel like citizens that come here and become citizens appreciate this country just a bit differently than we do if we're born here.
Absolutely. Before we got here, everything was the talk of America. Oh, people dropped their wallets. It's crazy. I remember the first day when I felt the cold at JFK. Okay, I remember all that, the big buildings, the smell of the subways. We come a long way. This is a great country. I worked hard in this country. My father washed dishes. Then he moved up, saved some money, bought a business. We went to college on our own, borrowing money and stuff like that. But we made it. We took public assistance because you needed to back in the day. But he worked. My mother worked. He used to make $15 a week. Okay, but he worked. My mother worked in the factories out of New York City. But we didn't get hooked onto that freeloading stuff, welfare. I used to be embarrassed going to the stores, man.
What do you think about all the illegals pouring over the border and they get buckets of free things?
That's not right. That's not right because we paid our dues. Okay, you got a lot of people that did the right thing. They had to go to the embassy down in the DR, like a lot of people do. Pay their dues, pay the fees, whatever you got to do. Be interviewed. That's nonsense, man. That is nonsense. It's hurting everybody else. It's not fair to those that came here legally, been here for a long time, assimilated. Okay, it's not right. This president, to me, is very, very bad.
Hey,
he calls himself a Catholic. He's a bad example.
Hey, I hear you, DJP, and I appreciate your call, man. Thanks so much. You can call in anytime.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I always feel like people that become citizens after they get here just appreciate it differently. And that's the temperature on the street for Americans right there. Not with this guy who's pandering and trying to court votes based on race and division.
The threat that Trump poses is greater in his second term than his first. It's clear that when he lost in 2020, something literally snapped in the sky. No, I'm serious. That's why January 6th happened, when he unleashed an insurrection. Now, he's running again, and he's clearly unhinged. He calls insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol patriots. Patriots. If reelected, he wants to pardon, quote, every one of them.
He didn't say that. He said he would review every case.
Let me ask you, what do you think he would have done on January 6th if black Americans had stormed it? Think about this. What do you think would have happened if black Americans had stormed the Capitol? I don't think he'd be talking about pardons.
Black Americans were there. And those cases are going to be reviewed as well.
It's the same guy who wanted to tear gas you as you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder. The same guy who still calls the Central Park Five guilty, even though they were exonerated. He's that landlord who denies housing applications because of the color of your skin.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Former President Trump waiting on a verdict inside an empty courtroom at his hush money trial. So what is Trump up to while waiting on a verdict? Well, we'll have a report on that. And Tennessee crews helping with flooded areas in Texas. We'll have those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It is 10:27 on Super Talk. My name is Chris And. We're playing that audio from Joe Biden in Philadelphia. Anthony texted in on the Members Nutrition text line, 615-737-9986. Said, I love how many people are willingly listening to a geriatric that probably has poop in his pants. I hear you, bro.
Ask the Pope.
Ask the Pope. That was the word. He came back wearing like completely different clothes, right? Like that's where the rumor started.
That's crazy to me that rumor has actually had to be debunked.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Yep. They had to fact check it. The distinguished gentleman from Lebanon, Tennessee, Calvin, is on the line. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Chris. Hey, I just wanted to say that Dan gave me the best piece of hope to hold on to in this Biden presidency. The day after he won, if that's what you want to call it, and y'all came on air, Dan wanted to give us a morsel of hope. And he said, just remember this. And I've repeated this to myself just about every day since, because it's the only thing I've really had, the best piece of information. He said, just remember, the worst thing for a liberal is a liberal in office. And here they are, they're living their own hell that they created. And I wish the only thing we had to worry about was their failed policies, but we got to worry about what's up their sleeve, because they're obviously going to need something up their sleeves. But I just think it's so funny to say that saying all this time and now seeing them squirm.
Yeah, I remember that monologue too. I was just a listener at the time, and Dan crushed it. It's like, if you give them enough rope, they're going to screw it up. And they woke up so many people to how terrible they are by being in power.
That's right. And hey, Chris, I want to say this too. I've been a faithful listener since Trump started running back in 2015. I listened to Ralph Frisco's last year. And as a matter of fact, when Brian Wilson come in, I thought, who's this guy? But he wound up being one of my favorites. But since Chris Hand has come on the air, you're the one that I drag the radio with me everywhere I go. So I don't miss nothing.
You are way too kind, Calvin.
Man.
Hey,
you got it going on.
I appreciate you listening all the time, and we have a great staff here, like top to bottom, producers, news guys, everybody's pulling their weight, and we're absolutely blessed.
By the way, I want Mac and Kim to know that they're part of the Hand Show, so I'm giving y'all all credit there.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that they get the message, Calvin. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sun and 73 degrees on Music Row. A complete weather forecast is just a couple of minutes away. The jury in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial resuming deliberations today after they've asked to rehear some of the judge's instructions, plus some testimony from Michael Cohen and David Pecker. The former president waiting for a verdict inside an empty courtroom. Here's ABC's John Santucci on Trump's likely reaction.
He's going to go stir crazy. I mean, if there's one thing that I know about Donald Trump, the man does not like to just sit around. He likes to constantly be on the move, be on his phone. They finally brought a television into the room. It only, could do one channel at a time. That's driving him crazy. This is a guy that brags about TiVo, which they do not have in the New York State court system, so it's not like he can bounce around.
The Tennessee Task Force 2 has deployed crews to Bryan, Texas, which saw flooding and damage from recent severe storms. Nashville Fire Department reports the deployment came at the request of Texas officials. Tennessee crews will help Texas with water rescues, storm damage assistance, and other emergency responses as needed. The storms have left hundreds of Texans that are still without power, as well as some devastating damage. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Politico reporting the Democrats are in full-blown freak-out mode over Biden's bad polling numbers, Caroline.
Well, they should be in full-blown freak-out mode because Joe Biden went to his home state of Pennsylvania yesterday and couldn't even fill up half of an elementary school gymnasium. He has no support, and it's because his message is Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. It is not the issues that matter to the American voter. He didn't talk about how he's going to actually bring down inflation and the cost of living for black voters and for all Americans. President Trump went to the Bronx, a deep blue city, a deep blue borough in this city just a few weeks ago. He had a crowd of more than 25,000 people. He is building the most diverse and broad political movement this country has ever seen, and it's because he's offering solutions to the issues.
He's offering solutions to the issues. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1036. I'm Chris Hand. Yeah, that's the biggest difference between the two campaigns. Biden is orange man bad. He's a racist. He's a criminal. Trump is like, hey, this is how we're going to fix the border. This is how we're going to fix the economy. This is how we're going to make America great again. That's the message Americans want to hear. Joe Biden goes on The View and says, you know, they're not getting the message. They're not hearing the message. Well, you had an event in deep blue Philadelphia. You couldn't even fill up the gymnasium to tell people the message. You wouldn't even tell people. There is no message other than orange man bad. There's no message. And the polls reflect it. The polls reflect that there's no answers from Joe Biden in his campaign. There's a new poll. Trump is now tied with Joe Biden in blue Virginia. Yep. Joe Biden and Trump are tied 42-42 in a head-to-head matchup, while Biden holds a 2-point lead when other candidates are included. Remember, they're not going to overestimate polls for Trump. Quite the opposite. They will underestimate. Currently, the Real Clear Politics average of Virginia, Biden leads by only 3 points, 44.7 to 41.7. Either way, this is a huge swing for Trump. Back in 2020, Biden won Virginia, or should I say, we were told Biden won Virginia by nearly 10 points, which it was in line with polling at the time. And in the final 2020 Roanoke College poll out of Virginia had Biden winning by 11 points. But on Wednesday, that same poll shows a tie. It shows a tie. And Virginia is a unique case because so much has changed. You know, we had Glenn Youngkin pulling an upset win over Terry McAuliffe to become the second Republican governor of Virginia in 25 years. And until the closing days of that campaign, McAuliffe was ahead, steadily ahead by as much as 5 points. And on election night, Youngkin won by 2. So Wednesday's Roanoke College poll shows Youngkin enjoying a 52% approval compared to a 40% disapproval. Meanwhile, Biden's disapproval in Virginia is miserable. 35% approval to 61% disapproval. I think Trump's going to win Virginia. I do. And it's because Biden doesn't have a message. He doesn't have a message. And they're hoping that the trials will affect it, but the polling doesn't show that. Newt Gingrich was on with Hannity last night, and Hannity asked him, will this trial have an impact on the election in 158 days?
Do you think this trial in New York has any impact on what happens in 159 days from now?
I think it has a big impact because I think it's making all of us Donald Trump. I think virtually every American looks at this use of government power and realizes that, Donald Trump could get out of the way by just withdrawing, but that in fact he cares enough about the country that he's taken this extraordinary beating, had the whole game rigged against him, risked going to jail, because he actually cares. And then they watch this doofus who is totally dishonest, clearly cognitively having problems, and I think in a pathetic way, clinging to the presidency in a way which I find pretty frightening for the country because he is commander-in-chief, and it's clear that this guy couldn't possibly command.
No, he couldn't. I mean, Gingrich hits on so many points. Clearly in cognitive decline, clearly clinging onto power, clearly using lawfare to go after Trump because they have nothing else to do that. And I think the lawfare has really, really generated support. I've heard Murphy talk about it, for better or worse. The black community feels that the justice system hasn't treated them fairly. And they look at Trump now and they go, yeah, we know what that's like. We know what that's like. Newt also had comments on the loss of black support for Biden.
But beyond that, if you have Kamala Harris as your vice president and you've done everything you can to bring the black community with you, and now you find yourself having to campaign in the black community, this is the second week they've done this. Because the truth is, when Donald Trump went to the South Bronx the other day, he was attracting the kind of coalition that is going to overwhelm Biden and I think potentially overwhelm the Democrats. And all you got to do is go back and look at video of Ronald Reagan in 1980 and then look at Trump in South Bronx and you realize we are in a different world and we have a national leader and these pathetic pygmies are doing all they can to try to put him in jail because they can't deal with him in an honest election.
No, they're not going to be able to beat him in an honest election. That's at least what all the data is showing. And Joe Biden himself yesterday says Kamala Harris was a diversity hire. They did that to gain the black vote. I mean, it's funny, though, because in 2019 or 2020, I forget exactly when it happened, the Democrat debates, Tulsi Gabbard eviscerated Kamala Harris in front of a black crowd in Detroit because of her conviction record over marijuana charges in California. Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club, he's actually expressing disappointment with Vice President Kamala Harris, and he suggests that she was prevented by Joe Biden from doing anything inspiring. This may be the funniest take that Charlemagne's ever had. He's an ally of Harris. He was scolded by the vice president in an interview for his comments about Joe Biden. He was speaking to Fox News' Brian Kilmeade about how he viewed her and Biden ahead of the 2024 election. And Charlemagne says that Kamala Harris is handcuffed a lot by this administration. Handcuffed. Yep. He said, I know her and I know what she stands for and I know the things she wants to do that she may not necessarily be in the position to do because she does not want to overstep the president. Charlemagne was then asked if he would not be upset if Harris became president. He said she wouldn't be any different than any other Democrat. What policies, what issues would she be so different on than President Obama was, President Biden was? Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. He also, Charlemagne in this interview, mocked Americans. And he said that they're terrified about the idea of Harris as president, claiming it's only because she's a woman of color. No. It's because she's an airhead. And she's done nothing remarkable. Nothing remarkable. Newt Gingrich continued in this interview with Hannity, and he's just going in on the Democrat Party.
Do you think the average American is stupid? I mean, you look at this doddering guy who clearly is only half the time in charge of what he's doing. You look at his vice president, who may be cognitively fine, but she's just goofy. And you say to yourself, what is it I'm supposed to get excited by? And then you look at Bidenflation, which is every American experiences every day, every time you go to the grocery store. Every American. So I don't care how many ads the Biden team runs. They're trying to convince the rest of us that the things aren't as bad as we know they are because we're feeling it in our pocketbooks. When you have to, if you're a Democrat and you have to go to your base this hard, you are really on the edge of collapse. If you were a comparable deal would be if a Republican had to try to shore up West Virginia.
Yeah. If a Republican had to shore up West Virginia. That's what the rally in Philadelphia felt like for Biden. That he's trying to shore up his base because he's losing them. And he's losing them for all the reasons Gingrich mentioned. Inflation. Inflation has become the lowest hanging fruit. I could run a piece of audio that's brand new on inflation every single day. Every single day. It's becoming repetitive. It's so bad. Everybody knows it. And people, I feel like, are going to vote with their pocketbooks come November. But Gingrich says, listen, you have the left cornered, right? They are cornered, and what happens with a cornered wounded animal? They become dangerous. And he says we have to really be on the lookout over the next few months and to pray for the president.
And I think what you're going to see in the next few months is and it really worries me, frankly, that you're going to see a desperation when they come to realize nothing they're doing is going to work, and they're confronted with the likelihood that Trump's not just going to win. He's going to win big. He's going to take in the Senate and the House. And I think all of us ought to keep Donald Trump in our prayers, because I think these people are desperate, and I think they're dangerous.
Desperate and dangerous. This is a fear that many Americans have had for a long time. I pray that nothing happens to him. But everything else has failed. It's not a leap for people to make that make that assumption that maybe that would be the next play. And you hear Newt Gingrich saying it right there. Pray for him. Keep him safe. He hopes that he has good people around him. I hope so too. I hope so too. Because everything that they've tried to throw at this guy has failed. Failed. They tried to call him a racist. They paint him as a racist since 2016. Well, his poll numbers among black voters are up. His poll numbers among Latinos are up. Oh, he's a xenophobe. He's shutting down borders. How could he? Poll numbers are up. Well, he's a criminal. He's a criminal. We're going to charge him. We're going to charge him with all this stuff. Poll numbers are up. We're going to release a mugshot. Poll numbers are up. Everything they try fails. So when Newt Gingrich says, he thinks that they could get dangerous, the left could get dangerous, I get where he's coming from, because what other options do they have? Because
I think these people are desperate, and I think they're dangerous.
I pray nothing happens. I do. And in the meantime, the Biden campaign continues to accuse Trump of pandering while they pander themselves. The junior campaign spokesman, Quentin Fulks, went on MSNBC, and he's like, listen, Biden packed the Supreme Court with black women.
Packing the court with black women, more black justices on the court than all other presidents combined.
That's how they're trying to appeal to black voters. He's packed the Supreme Court with black women. One. More than any other president, all the other presidents combined. Well, yes, she was the first one. She was also, she couldn't define what a woman is. How can the junior spokesman of the Biden campaign, Quentin Fulks, define what a woman is? If a Supreme Court justice can't, how can a Biden campaign spokesman? It is absolutely ridiculous. And then, this is what they do. They can't campaign on the economy. They can't campaign on foreign policy. They can't campaign on the border. So they have to rely on fear and anxiety. And that's what they do. So they rely on racism. They lean in on abortion. And just yesterday on Twitter, or on Tuesday on Twitter, Joe Biden posted about an assault weapon ban. Yep, gun control. They're going back to the well. Biden tweeted out, thoughts and prayers are not enough. It's time for an assault weapons ban. Okay. People mocked him ruthlessly after this. One Twitter user wrote, you're advocating for the disarming of citizens while you try to imprison your opponent. How fascist of you. Another one added, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. End of discussion. Another user wrote and accused Biden of sniffing children and asked him to stop. He said, if you want to put an end to gun violence, take the guns out of the hands of Democrats. Another one, someone that left $85 billion worth of military equipment, including guns and ammo in Afghanistan for the Taliban to secure, gets zero time to talk about gun control. Bingo. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Trump's defense team and the former president's hush money trial reportedly are not real happy with one of the jury requests during their deliberation. We'll have a report. And Secretary of State Blinken in the Czech Republic today. We'll let you know the details. Those stories at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 10:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Perfect that time, Jeff. I'm like teaching Jeff behind the scenes. Like I need my music a little bit louder. Too loud. Sounds like Goldilocks. I need it just right.
Make up your mind.
Well, turn down the music, and I'll tell you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Turn it back up.
I had that coming.
No. All right, so we were talking about Joe Biden and his assault weapons ban. He called for that on Twitter. Leaning in on fear, leaning in on anxiety. Had a great text from Peter on the Members Nutrition text line, 615-737-9986. Says, so Biden lets in the terrorists, and then we're told our guns aren't needed as much? Yeah, that's pretty much it, Pete. Yeah. So, we can turn them in. Let's just get in front of this thing. Let's all turn them in. What a joke. What an absolute joke of a president. Also, we're getting more and more illegal aliens. They keep coming. You know what's number one for illegal aliens now? San Diego. I know, San Diego. Congratulations. You're number one.
San Diego has now become the top region along the southern border for migrant arrivals for the first time in decades, according to the latest government figures. This video shows how busy the area can get, with hundreds of migrants from as many different countries waiting to be processed by Border Patrol.
There are many people from Latin America, many people from different African countries, from Eastern European bloc countries, from Asian countries, from the Middle East.
And with more than 30,000 arrests last month, it was the busiest of Border Patrol's 9 sectors along the southern border for the first time since the 90s.
Oh, well, what would make it more busy in California? Is it that Texas is fortifying its border and taking the border into its own hands? Possibly. Could it also be all the free stuff that California promises, like health care and housing and food? Yep, that's probably it too.
San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond has been visiting with migrants as they enter the U.S., often as Border Patrol releases them onto the streets of San Diego. According to Border Patrol data, there have been more than 140,000 street releases since September.
It's mayhem here at the cost of safety for not only San Diego County, but for our country.
140,000 street releases since November, the reporter out of San Diego said. 140,000. And folks, they're not sending their best. I saw a story from Breitbart. An illegal immigrant was wanted by Interpol for murder, was arrested in Texas. Thank goodness they got this illegal alien off the streets. It was an immigrant from Mexico captured in Texas as an international fugitive wanted for murder. But for every story that you see where they get one, there's got to be, 5, 10 that got away? At least? These guys are so overwhelmed at the border that when people come and want to turn themselves in, they're looking for Border Patrol, but they can't find them because Border Patrol is tied up in another sector dealing with more illegal aliens. So they get bored and they call an Uber. They get out of there. Many such cases. It's crazy. Yep, it keeps continuing. I have a couple stories that I want to get to, some that are unrelated, and a bit of a break. We'll give you an update on what's happening in the Trump trial. I'm gonna wait for CNN to get back. I know they have the ticker. They have the ticker for how long the jury's been deliberating, so we'll get you an update on that. I know it's very important. It's very important. So we'll update on you on that. And plus, North Korea, you're not going to believe what they did to South Korea. It may be proof that North Koreans have a sense of humor. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 11 a.m. That's right. 11 o'clock this morning. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sunshine, 74 degrees, and your weather forecast is on the way. The jury in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial, they've got deliberations underway again today, and they've been asking to rehear some of the judge's instructions Plus testimony from former Trump fixer Michael Cohen and the former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker. ABC's John Santucci says that people close to Trump, they're not real thrilled with one of those requests.
That was their immediate reaction when we were working the phones last night. We had multiple sources close to the former president said basically the following. Michael Cohen getting read back in? Oh, that's good. David Pecker? Not good.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken traveling to the Czech Republic today to highlight NATO's support for Ukraine against Russia's invasion. During a meeting with the Czech foreign minister, Secretary Blinken said the NATO ally has played a key role in aiding Ukraine.
Training thousands of Ukrainian forces, sending hundreds of millions of dollars of military equipment to Ukraine, authorizing the transfer of more than $6 billion worth of equipment.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
.11:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The jury has been deliberating for 7 hours and 8 minutes. It's according to CNN.
It's important stuff.
It's very important. Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is the thing. Nobody cares what's going to happen. So I figured we could do important news.
Yeah, it'd be good. But did you know that there were 7 men and 5 women on the jury?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure.
Is it just me? Or is the graphic... Okay, so if you haven't seen CNN, I don't blame you. But they have a breakdown underneath the ticker. It says 7 men, 5 women. And then underneath, there's 7 like bathroom stick figures of men.
Yep.
And there's 5 bathroom stick figures of women. I don't think that that's regulation bathroom size women stick figures.
Oh, you think they upped them, or
I think they're a little bit wider than what you see on your bathroom. I'm serious. Don't they look a little bit wider?
They do look a little bit wider. Photoshop just kind of expanding
they stretched
the waist.
It a little bit. You know what I mean? So I put out a request for comment, and I haven't received anything back. I haven't received anything back. All right, Mac, I got to tell you about this story.
Yes, please. Fill me in.
So North Korea, I don't know why I think that this is so funny. North Korea is pretty upset. They're pretty upset. So the guys in South Korea will send balloons over to North Korea. They do this a lot, and they'll have like leaflets with like information, like how to escape.
Oh, wow.
Like North Koreans call it propaganda, but like, you know, freedom.
It's actually just, freedom.
It's like, like publications, news articles, things like that, because you can't get any of that inside North Korea.
Wow, that's great. I didn't know that.
So, and they'll have music or like DVDs and all these balloons, and they send them over. North Korea got pretty upset about this. They do this a lot. North Korea decided to get back at them. So on Wednesday, North Korea sent their own swarm of balloons back.
Oh, okay.
To South Korea.
I'm imagining DVDs were not inside these balloons.
No. It triggered air raid sirens when the balloons started coming across. People started freaking out. The balloons were filled with feces and garbage.
Full of poop?
I don't understand if I'm kind of rooting for North Korea in this situation because I think that was
That's
funny.
Hilarious.
It was late Tuesday evening. Residents of South Korea's Gyeonggi province, that's absolutely how you say it.
Yeah, 100%.
Near the border, they just started freaking out. There's air raid preliminary sirens going off, and they're appearing on their cell phones, and they're like, what?
Like, what's going on?
One guy told Radio Free Asia, air raid? I panicked because I thought they were talking about an attack. So people are like, what's going on? The cell phone alerted people to report any unidentified flying objects. As the unidentified objects began to appear in the sky, the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff tracked about 260 balloons from North Korea.
Oh, my gosh.
Traveling as far as Seoul and the southeastern province. And they said it was the largest North Korean balloon release to date. And the balloons were proved to be loaded with trash, North Korean propaganda leaflets, and in some cases, feces.
So they're just a bunch of trolls. Just a big F you. Absolutely.
Trolling.
Yes, exactly.
Trolling to literally the highest degree.
Yes, quite literally.
South Korean media carried photos of the large white balloons, sometimes several balloons tethered to a large payload, and the balloons landed rough, causing the bags to burst, and it would scatter. So you had balloons landing and trash just like exploding on the streets and feces exploding on the streets.
So bad.
And so
that's generational hate, by the way. That's
different.
Yeah, exactly. You aspire for that sort of beef.
Yeah. The Hatfields and the McCoys never reached balloon feces territory.
They couldn't dream of this.
They couldn't. South Korea released a statement. They said, we sternly warn the North to immediately stop its inhumane and low-class actions.
North Korea is like, I don't care, bro.
Well, I'm sending more balloons tonight.
We got a bunch more feces where that came from. Oh, gosh. Over 250 balloons.
Is that an act of war? Is that a bioweapon?
Exactly.
What do you do?
I'm just trying to think, what if that happened to us? Like, what if Mexico or Canada did something like that to us? What would we do? How would we respond?
It would have to be war.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that to us.
Ron is asking on the Members Nutrition text line how you get fecal matter into a balloon. It was the payload of said balloons. Big old balloons.
Okay, so these are special balloons for this.
These are different.
These aren't some birthday party. Yeah,
these are military
high grade.
Balloons. Yeah, these are the best balloons money can buy.
I kind of want to believe that they had to like make something in the budget for this to happen.
Oh, this absolutely came out of the budget.
Yeah, this happened. They spent money on this.
And there had to be a planning process. Like, okay,
yeah,
we're gonna need some feces. All right, well, where do we get it? You know where.
You know exactly
you know exactly where. It's like, but we don't tend to eat much, so it's going to take a lot longer than expected. It's like they kept pushing back the deadline because they don't have food.
Exactly, because they're all hungry.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
That's my North Korea story.
That's it. That's
all I have.
That's all that's coming out of North Korea right now.
Balloons,
poop and trash.
Poop and trash. It is. It really is like. It's you know, it's poetry.
It is.
That's what comes out of North Korea.
That's high level trolling. That's seriously.
I thought you'd like that.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
I'm in on that.
Then I got another story here. A Democrat California district attorney, her name is Pamela Price. She's got low approval in the Chinese community. So she decided to announce that she has a Chinese name.
Oh.
This is California for you. And then she had an event planned for the Chinese name.
Just to
announce
Just to announce the name.
And stand in solidarity with the Chinese community in California. So this is Alameda County. District Attorney Pamela Price. She ended up canceling the event last minute.
Good call.
Because she was mocked because she's black and she has no Chinese heritage. And so they say she has a strained relationship with the Asian community after racism accusations.
So she pulled an Elizabeth Warren, you're saying?
I feel like this was worse.
So does she not have a Chinese name?
So somebody thought it was an April Fool's joke. She gave herself a Chinese name, and the characters translate to Goon Sin Zing. Goon Sin Zing.
Goon Sin Zing.
Wait, you can just give yourself a Chinese name?
I was
That's
going to say,
a thing?
we could do that.
This is America.
Of course you can.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So I was thinking about something else, but you were like, then you said, oh, she gave herself this name. I'm like, oh, then.
But she was doing it. She was doing it to improve relations with the Chinese community.
Come on.
So someone messaged and asked if it was an April Fool's joke, and then they were sent the press release that came from the DA's office. A TV reporter wrote on Twitter.
This is the equivalent of when someone's like, oh, dude, yeah, you're racist towards black people. It's like, no, I had a black friend once. Like this is that level of what she's doing.
What? I feel like this is worse than saying you have a black friend.
This is probably worse.
No, I'm not racist. I have a name. I gave myself the name.
Joe Biden did the I have a black friend thing in Philadelphia.
On Memorial Day, I proudly stood with a black man.
See, that's not even a name. He just said a black man.
Yeah.
Singular. Just
he couldn't remember Lloyd Austin's name. You know the guy.
Black man.
Anyway, I probably shouldn't get into it. But so this DA in California, another Twitter user said to her, she's trying to cheat and lie to the Asians, especially the Chinese community, so the nice and friendly communities will not vote her out in November. If she's not removed from office, she will revenge the community and ethnicities who help vote her out. So, I mean, look, she has these big pamphlets. Do you see this?
Oh, my gosh. This is bad.
Wait, describe them to me. I need to know.
Bunch of Chinese characters and a picture of Pamela Price.
A bunch of Chinese letterings.
I can literally. It's like when someone gets a Chinese tattoo and I hope it means this. It's probably the same thing.
So the characters translate. Okay, so it's Goon Sin Zing. The characters translate to Goon, government official, Sin, kind or good, and Zing, pure or virginity. And one Cantonese speaker actually noted, it's pretty dumb to call herself that. The three characters together mean a nice virgin bureaucrat.
She roasted herself with
She
a
roasted
Chinese
herself with a
name.
nice virgin bureaucrat.
That's wrong on so many levels.
I mean, this is an SNL sketch.
Like, I'm thinking if I'm a politician and Irish people were mad at me, and it's like, well, guys, I've got an Irish name.
I'm drinking Guinness. Look,
yeah,
look,
exactly.
guys.
I'm gonna. You can call me Patty O'Toole.
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
that's my Irish name. I know you're talking to me.
I'm wearing green.
Yeah, guys, come on.
Another Chinese local wrote, I'm enraged by Pamela Price having a Chinese name, tainting our language and culture. Bad person. A second wrote, just like all the other races before us, she thinks she can pander to the community with some Chinese characters. This is what Democrats do. They pander.
So it's going well for Pamela.
I think she's going to be...
Yeah, she'll be reelected.
She'll be reelected. she'll be reelected. So this lady, she's had... She announced she was going to change her name to Chinese in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. She didn't add the NH.
I was about to say, dude, where's the NH?
There's Native Hawaiian in there now.
Canceled.
That's cancelable. It's cancelable. She was going to be joined by Elaine Peng, the founder of the Mental Health Association of Chinese Communities at the now canceled event. I feel like that was going to turn into an intervention.
Oh, 100%.
Like she walks into her event, it's just a circle of chairs.
Yes.
Like,
please sit down.
We're going to need to talk about this.
Yeah.
They say that she strained the relationship with the local Asian community after several claims of racism over the past year. Patty Lee, who worked as Price's spokeswoman for about 6 months last year until she was fired, said the DA constantly and openly made derogatory comments about Asian Americans.
Wow.
In a legal claim, she claimed that she was fired because of anti-Asian discrimination. And after she complained about it, complained about breaches of duty in office. She's seeking, the former spokeswoman's seeking $1.5 million for emotional distress.
And where is this again? Where is Pamela again? This is in California?
Alameda County in California.
Gotcha.
That was actually near where I live, funny enough.
Oh, there you go.
What big cities are in Alameda?
It's like in the middle between the big cities. I don't think there's actually a big, if I remember correctly, I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was just like the little towns before you hit the big counties.
Okay. So that's where everyone actually lives. Before they sit in 4 hours of traffic.
Exactly.
To go 20 miles.
I think I'm trying. I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. But if I'm wrong, I want to just protect myself.
We'll let you know if you're wrong.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, don't worry about that.
Don't worry. We're here for that.
Fact check true.
Check true.
Goon scene zing. All right.
Love it, man.
I got
Okay,
more.
it says Oakland, but I mean,
is that a big city anymore?
No,
they don't even have an In-N-Out. They don't even have an In-N-Out burger.
It's literally the cities before you hit San Francisco.
All right, I got one more rando story.
I love it. Please hit me.
Do you remember when we had like that slow news month and all we could cover was the submarine that blew up?
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
I do remember that.
Like that was, I'll be honest with you, that was painful.
We were struggling.
Like sometimes you get into those ruts with the news and like all you can do is cover a blown up submarine in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
And like the search when everybody's like, yeah, they died a long time ago, but we're still searching.
That's like when we pull out games with the super text line and say, hey, give us something to search and see if it's racist, something like that. Yeah, that's when we.
It's a slow news day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fun game.
Very fun game. Don't get me wrong.
That's much more fun than covering a blown up submarine. Well, an Ohio billionaire is he's ready to prove that the industry is actually safe. Private submarining. So he's launching a $20 million submersible to the Titanic site after the OceanGate disaster. Real estate investor Larry Connor said, I want to show people worldwide that while the ocean is extremely powerful, it can be wonderful and enjoyable.
We know that.
We can find that out at the beach.
Yeah, I've been to the beach. It's great. It is enjoyable.
Wonderful and enjoyable.
Yes, exactly.
Seeing the movie Titanic is enough for me. Yeah. I don't need to risk my life. And like, who would do that? Like, honestly.
Well, this Ohio billionaire would.
No, I meant like, who would join him in that? Like, who's going to say like, you know what? I know that happened before and it was a horrifying instant death. I'm going to roll the dice,
Let's try. Let's
At
give it a
first you
shot.
don't succeed, try again.
Connor has plans to take a vessel dubbed the Triton 4002 Abyssal Explorer down more than 12,400 feet to the shipwreck site. Per the New York Post, the two-person sub was designed by Triton Submarines co-founder Patrick Leahy. Connor said that the vessel will be able to go on the voyage repeatedly, and Patrick has been thinking about and designing this for over a decade, but we didn't have the materials and the technology. You couldn't have built this sub 5 years ago.
This is like, hey, I've got big cojones. I've got a lot of money. Look at me.
It's a flex.
This is a huge flex.
Yeah, it's a look at me flex.
Absolutely. That I hope doesn't backfire because it would be fatal, but also like, bro, come on, what are we doing?
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That's exactly right.
Talk about just have money to burn, by the way. Like, you can't think of anything else to use your money
do
for.
So many great things that aren't this.
Let's create a submarine that in the past has caused a massive tragedy.
Yeah. Billionaires. They're not like us.
No, they aren't.
They're not like
They're
us
a
at all.
different species, honestly. Like, we're not even the same.
I just like I just want enough money to like be able to like go to Chili's when I want and not have to worry about what I get.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
That's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for. I'm not looking to do the submersible. You know what I mean?
I want 10 orders of baked potato soup.
I would like to say, I'm getting the kids water and sneaking lemonade. I would like to just be able to be like, I'll get them a lemonade.
Yeah, we're going to get the large.
At the fountain drink.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm looking for.
That'd be cool. But these two guys want to bring more credibility to the industry after the Ocean Gate implosion on June 18th, 2023. That incident killed all 5 people aboard. A few days after the incident, this guy was like, hey, we got to build a better sub. A few days after.
A few days later.
He didn't even wait.
No morning.
Listen to this. He said, you know what we need? We need to build a sub that can dive to Titanic level depths repeatedly and safely. So that's a good caveat. And demonstrate to the world that you guys can do it and that the Titan was a contraption. So.
Oh, gosh. I bet they haven't seen Jaws.
No. They haven't.
That's one thing you could agree with them on.
Well, yeah. A weak movie. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock store. I can't believe Saturday is almost here. Their 4th annual open house, 10 to 2. Myself, Matt Murphy, Dan Mandis, the whole squad. We're going to be out there at the Glock store for their open house, and I want you to be there too. I hadn't been there before. I was kind of like the newbie for a while at the Glock store, the Shoot 270 ranges, but not anymore. Had my first session, and it's incredible. No lanes, no paints. It was me, my instructor Kevin, in a private room. So cool, so different. If you haven't seen these shooting rooms, you need to check them out. The open house is going to be the perfect day to do it. The Shoot 270 indoor Glock ranges. The open house is going to be fun too. Have you seen the billboards? Myself, Murphy, Dan. I walked in and Jeff Womack was like, hey, you looking good on that billboard. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. So I got to see.
I haven't seen it in action either.
No, I got to see the billboard. Let me know if you see the billboard. Send me a picture. The Members Nutrition text line. And I want to see, I'd rather see you at the open house. You can show me there. We're giving away thousands of dollars worth of great raffle prizes. We're going to have fascinating political and two-way supporting speakers. There's going to be 2 of the most engaging shooting competitions, the Vortex Fast and Accurate stage and the Nightstick Low Light, No Light stage. I've seen the videos of them training in the low light, no light. It is so cool. I can't wait to see this competition. Plus, incredible one-day only prices on Glock handguns, performance parts flash sales, and they're raffling off a custom Glock worth over $1,700 that day. It's the Glock store in Shoot 270, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, especially on June 1st.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Sadly, another Nashville area teen is dead as the result of gunfire. We'll have details. And Tennessee crews are helping with flooded areas in Texas. Those stories coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I know Jay's going to get to that story in a minute, but I just want to break in and say Senator Heidi Campbell wasted no time to go on the Twitter machine and blame the guns. It's always the guns. That's what she said. It's the guns. Okay. It's a sad story. I feel for the families. But those kids that young.
I know. And Chris, we've just had this rash of teenage shootings here in the last week.
But you can't blame that on the firearm. Like, that's a culture issue. That's a family issue. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Where are 15-year-old kids getting these weapons?
And how do their parents not know?
Exactly.
You don't just wake up one day and have a gun and then go shoot somebody. Like, there is a pattern that's developing in that home that it's not being caught.
And the one young man that had an AR-15, reportedly an AR-15 type rifle that, fatally shot that poor girl in Franklin one day after she graduated high school. Where's a kid getting these AR-15 from?
It's insane.
Yeah.
And they'll blame the guns and they'll try to put more laws and more restrictions into place. But listen, the laws are there to prevent him from getting it in the first place. It's insane. It's insane. So it just blows my mind, and I'm not shocked that Heidi Campbell goes on Twitter and says it's the guns. Yep, classic Democrat. Let's blame the guns, not the culture, not the family. Let's blame the guns. Okay. Good take, Heidi. Good take as always. Heidi Campbell. She's there for good takes, and this is what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to lean into gun control as we head towards November. Fear and anxiety sells. That's why Joe Biden is on Twitter calling for an assault weapons ban. That's why you're going to hear this more and more and more. That's what's going to be leading up to November. It's going to be guns, abortion, Trump's a racist. That's all they have to lean on. It's sad. I do feel for those kids, man. Way too young to be dealing with that. Way too young. Way too young. 13. That's 3 years older than my oldest daughter. 3 years older.
And also happening in a part of town that has shocked people as well.
Yep.
Out in Bellevue.
It's crazy. Well, I'm looking forward to your newscast, Jay. We got more on the way for you here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 11:29 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sun. We've actually dropped a couple of degrees, which is rather odd, but 72 now. We'll have a full forecast in a couple of minutes. As we were just alluding to, another teenager dead and his teenage sister recovering in the hospital after a shooting at a park in Bellevue. According to Metro Police, the shooting occurred around 8 o'clock last night at Red Caboose Park. Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron from last evening.
A fight broke out between females this evening in the parking lot of Red Caboose Park. Other teens joined the fight. During the fight, a gun was produced. Shots were fired. Two teenagers, 16 and 13, sister and brother, were hit. The 16-year-old girl has been taken to the hospital. She's going to survive her injuries. The 13-year-old was hit multiple times, rushed to the hospital. He has now been pronounced deceased.
The 13-year-old boy has been identified as Aiden Hayes. His 16-year-old sister, she was able to give police a name and description of the shooter. Police then spotted an individual who matched the description. He was walking along Highway 70 about a half mile from the park. That individual was detained. He's been identified as 15-year-old DeAnthony Osasosifo, and he's been charged with criminal homicide. The Tennessee Task Force 2 has deployed crews to Bryan, Texas. They saw quite a bit of flooding and damage from recent severe storms over the Memorial Day weekend. Nashville Fire Department reports the deployment came at the request of Texas officials. Tennessee crews will help Texas with water rescues, storm damage assistance, and other emergency responses as needed. The storms have left hundreds of people without power, as well as devastating damage. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I got some good memes on the Twitter machine. If you're in the need for some memes, I was just in there. Mac is training Jeff, and I said, Mac, stop for a second. Got to show you this meme. It's a good one, right? It was pretty good. He's nodding. Maybe he doesn't agree, but you can check it out at Chris Hand on air. All the memes on Twitter. Jay is on line one. Jay has a story to tell. What's up, Jay?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
All right. I was just curious. Tuesday the 21st, I got home from work, and I had several TBI agents and sheriff's office at my house there to arrest me with a sealed indictment for voting in 2020. I couldn't understand it. They said that I had a felony charge in 1996, which I was 19 years old. I thought it got reduced to a misdemeanor. I filled out my voter registration card. They sent it to me. I went and voted. And then 4 years later, I get arrested. There were 30 people in the Sumner County Jail that was arrested for the same thing on Tuesday. The TBI agent that did the arresting said that there was actually hundreds of people that got arrested that day. It was a statewide roundup. And I was just curious if anybody's heard of this or why they're doing it. Or every lawyer I've talked to, no one's ever heard of this before.
I've not heard of this, and I've not heard of your story. So let's kind of like backtrack a bit. You were arrested in the 90s and charged with a felony.
Yes.
Were you found guilty?
Yes.
Did you serve time?
No. I did probation.
Did you lose your voting rights because of that felony?
Apparently so. Which, like I said, I thought the felony got reduced to a misdemeanor. Apparently it didn't. My lawyer had died during this court process, and his son took over the case. And apparently he didn't get the deal worked out that we had originally talked about. They gave me a year of probation, or it was 2 years, I think. I can't even remember. It's been so long. But yeah, I literally been 28 years thinking that I didn't have a felony on my record, and I've never voted. And my wife talked me into voting in 2020, and I filled out my voter registration card. They mailed me one. I went to the local place and voted, and that was that. And now 4 years later, I get arrested for something that happened 28 years ago for voting.
That's a wild story. So you had not voted since the felony till 2020?
No.
And you voted in the 2020 presidential election in Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
I mean, listen, I know this stinks for you, but part of me is like, hey, at least they're looking into who voted and if they're allowed to.
Yeah, I mean, but it's, out of the 30 people that was arrested on Tuesday, there's a 77-year-old woman or 70-something-year-old man in there. I mean, these people, and people like me that I really didn't know I had a felony on my record. I mean, it may be hard to believe to some people, but this was when I was 19 years old. I'm 50 years old now. And, I've been going this whole time. I've never known I had a felony on my record. And when I went to vote, so this was all, pretty much they arrested us all and charged us with Class D felonies for checking a box.
So what do the next steps look like for you?
I've had to take $10,000 to hire an attorney, and I've got a court date in August.
All right. Will you call us back after your court date and let us know what happens?
I sure will.
All right, man. I'm going to look more into this. I appreciate the call, Jay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me, that stinks for Jay. Part of me goes, well, at least they're looking at who voted and if they were allowed to. I like that. And if you're not allowed to vote, well, you're not allowed to vote, right? That's an interesting story. Interesting story. You know what else is an interesting story? Pride flag crosswalks. Have you heard about the pride flag crosswalks? They're being vandalized, and there's manhunts underway for those doing the vandalizing. One of them happened in Florida.
Police are searching for the driver caught doing donuts, damaging the Progressive Pride street mural.
Just after 2:40 Wednesday morning, a vehicle is caught on a security camera doing donuts, damaging a Pride mural on Central Avenue in St. Petersburg. Tire marks still visible on the street.
My reaction is disappointment, not surprise. I think anytime we're in a situation where we have public displays of pride, our authentic selves, people are going to have a reaction to it.
Dr. Byron Green Collish is president of St. Pete Pride. He feels someone targeted the mural. He says the mural is visual representation that everyone is welcomed here.
The mural is really a public love letter to the residents of St. Pete. Being able to collaborate with the city and other pride organizations here in the city really feels like love and home.
St. Pete police say over the past week, 2 different vehicles have left tire marks on the mural. One where a driver accelerated on Friday, May 17th at around 9:30 in the morning. The second incident, that vehicle doing donuts. Officers do not believe the 2 cases are connected.
So they're on a manhunt in Florida for people doing donuts on pride flag crosswalks. But they never bring that same energy for people that vandalize, public statues. You can look at what happened at all the universities where they're spray painting Free Gaza. They're spray painting Free Palestine. There's no manhunt underway for who did that kind of vandalism. But if you touch one of the sacred cows of Pride Month, well, then there's an issue. This isn't just happening in Florida. It's also happening in Washington, where somebody there actually lit the crosswalk on fire.
We need your help. And so let me apologize for anything the church has ever done that might contribute to the hate we are currently seeing.
Also, sadness.
These are my fellow citizens that live here. I know it was called vandalism, but it was hate.
It was hate. And the first person speaking was it looked like a female Methodist preacher of some sort.
We need your help. And so let me apologize for anything the church has ever done.
Let me apologize for anything the church has ever done. So in this case, they lit the crosswalk on fire.
I know it was called vandalism, but it was hate.
It's how we show up for each other in our families, in our homes, in our communities, in our neighborhoods. We got to show people some love.
Spokane city leaders are sounding the alarm about hate in the city after that Pride crosswalk in downtown was set on fire Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Whitney Ward. The day after a group of people set fire to that Pride crosswalk in downtown Spokane, dozens of city leaders came together to show their support for the LGBTQ community.
It was just spray painting. Now it's flammable. So the violence is escalating.
I don't understand how you could, count that as violence, right? Vandalism, sure, we can have that debate. But where is the energy from these same people when they're burning American flags in the street? Where is the same energy from these people when they're vandalizing statues of George Washington? If all things were equal, I'd have no issue with it. But it's that we can't demonstrate one type of way and not the other. Like, you're allowed to light an Israeli flag on fire. You're allowed to light an American flag on fire in protest, but you're not allowed to light the Pride crosswalk. That gets you a manhunt. That gets you manhunt. In Florida, you can't do donuts on a crosswalk, but if you're in a rougher neighborhood in Miami, you can close down a street and do donuts all night long. That won't get you a manhunt. That won't get you a manhunt. I don't really like this 2 tiers of justice, because that's what that is. That's what that is. If you're protesting the things that the regime says you're allowed to protest, or the radical left says is okay, then there's no manhunt when you burn the flags or statues. But if you're protesting the pride flag being painted in your city crosswalks in the exact same fashion, that gets you a story on the evening news. That gets a police manhunt. That gets a bolo. Unreal. Unreal. Got a couple calls waiting. Bay, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Bay? Is it Bay or is it Ray? Hello? All right.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, what's up?
Not much. I just was going to comment on what they was talking about on radio.
Yes, sir.
I was convicted felony in 92 or 3, and I rocked on for several years, and they sent me my voting rights back to me, and I thought maybe I had my federal rights back, but I called over Chattanooga and checked on it, and I didn't, and I was still on the files.
Okay, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks.
All right.
I'm getting a lot of texts about the pride flags and that getting you a manhunt. 9935 said, what if it was Confederate flags in the crosswalks? Yep. Oh, yeah, he sent a picture because he's doing the diagonal cross. He says it looks like a Confederate flag in all the crosswalks. You see that on the members nutrition text line? It just doesn't.
That's good.
It just doesn't make sense that this is either punish everyone equally or don't punish anyone at all. If you're burning an American flag and defacing American statues, you should be treated the same way as if you did a donut on a pride flag. But you won't be. You never will be. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, find me off air on Twitter, True Social, Instagram. I'm at Chris Hand on air. I'm always posting memes. You can find them there. Matt Murphy's going to be checking in with us next. We got a lot more Super Talk all day long. Murphy's in till 3. Brian Wilson's in after that with The Drive. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk. 11:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Got to get ready.
My name is Chris Hand.
Hello.
So I called Matt Murphy on the phone yesterday.
I got to get ready for him.
And you know what happened? Matt Murphy didn't answer.
I texted. Didn't I text you?
He didn't text me.
I did text you once, I thought.
I think it was once, and I think it was one word.
It was like your call was it one word?
I think so.
No, it wasn't word. I said, no, it was yeah. I said yes, as far as I know. Hello, everyone. Hello, Chris.
What's up?
Okay, so you ready? You ready for it?
Yeah.
Chris.
Matt.
I'd like to talk to you on a personal level for just a moment, if you don't mind.
Please.
I would like to humbly, sincerely, and earnestly apologize for my failure to get back to you yesterday. Our friendship means a lot to me. And my inability to get back to you, my unavailability, has bothered me from the moment that I saw that I had failed to return your call. I respect your time. I value your friendship. And I deeply hope that you will find it in your heart at some point down the road.
It's not going to be today.
To forgive me. How about that? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's off the top of my head.
To bring in that kind of sincerity.
Sounds like a guy that's been married for 21 years.
I wish I had a violin playing in the background for that.
Yeah,
that's good.
We need some sad music.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Matt.
How you we haven't ran you off yet.
Not yet.
Oh no, it takes a lot to do that.
We're working on it.
Yeah, that's
we're working on it.
I like that we're trying to figure out what your nickname's going to be, considering that nobody wants to continue to say your last name on the radio.
It's not even that long of a last name.
I already forgot it.
You know what the problem is? You know what none of these other people are going to tell you that I'm willing to tell you? You know what Hand's not going to tell you, and then Mandis is not going to tell you that I am willing to tell you?
Tell him, Matt.
Too Russian. There it is.
I was literally going to say that.
Too Russian.
It is way too Russian.
Way too Russian.
Okay,
we get accused of being Russian bots all the time.
That's exactly right.
We're Russian disinfo agents.
We're anti-Ukraine, Russian people.
The
Now we're gonna
Melnov
bring in-
family has been in America since during the Mayflower era.
That's exactly what a Russian spy would say.
Too Ruski for me, bro. I'm not touching that.
Exactly what a Russian spy would say. You got anything else?
They were in the Civil War as well. We had family find the Civil War.
The Civil War, the Russian Civil
They've
War.
been infiltrating for that long, Murphy.
Civil War.
This has been going on a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
This rabbit hole goes deep, bro.
I'm gonna get the FBI on my phone now, thanks to you guys.
That happened when you started working here, pal. That happened. They know you. I like to think I make my FBI agents laugh.
Somewhere in Quantico, Virginia, they're like, oh, my, TN's hiring Russian people now. Look at this.
Diversity.
Well, some would suggest that you're not a diversity hire if you're a Russian agent. What's going on with you?
Not much, man. We're just doing news.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Everybody, I avoided the, I'm going to talk a little bit about, and I know that I'm late to the party, but this De Niro stuff, I avoided it because I know that what they want is attention.
Yep.
And so sometimes I just choose to completely go the other way and not give them what they want. But I caught it, like how it did not turn out the way that they thought it would. And I didn't realize how delicious it was, where the New Yorkers start coming back at De Niro and he didn't know how to handle it. And so it becomes this big bleep you party where everybody's bleep you, and you're this and you're that
so
thing.
Good.
So awesome.
So good. And then I want to believe that in the background, somebody turned on their car alarm intentionally during De Niro's press conference.
And see, I saw this morning. You saw that it was bothering him.
Yep.
But he realized he couldn't say anything about it bothering him, but you could tell it was really bothering him.
It was under his skin so well.
I love that, Joe Biden is suffering with young voters. I mean, really where Joe Biden is suffering more than anything is with your under 30-year-old voter.
Oh, you mean the group that just wants to move out of mom and dad's house and be able to eat at a restaurant?
Just want to be able to afford groceries at the grocery store. And so what better human being to bolster support for Joe Biden than an octogenarian that none of these people have ever heard of to start screaming, ranting, and raving on the streets of New York?
All they know of him is from Meet the Fockers.
Probably so, yeah. That's fair.
Meet the Parents. That's De Niro to that generation.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's one that we haven't thought of. I mean, there's a couple of them, but I mean, for the most part, these people have no idea who Robert De Niro is.
Yep.
And that's the only person you can find. And I want to know if they paid him.
Oh, well, he said he's part of the campaign. They absolutely paid him. He said, I joined the Biden-Harris campaign.
That's great.
They're paying for that. But the ones that they had before, they've lost. They lost Cardi B. Mm-hmm. They lost The Rock. They lost all these people. Taylor Swift. Do you think Taylor Swift is going to come out and endorse him at this point?
I don't. I think Taylor Swift is for everything else she is, she's a smart business person. And I don't think it's smart business right now.
No. And isn't the DOJ going after Live Nation?
Yeah, that's true.
She makes a lot of money with Live Nation.
Makes a lot of money that way. So we'll talk about De Niro a little bit, and I'm going to talk about this situation with these young people dying. And I heard you mention Heidi Campbell. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into the guns.
Can you believe the tweet? Can you believe it?
We're going to talk.
All the left has to push is fear and anxiety. That's it. That's it.
We're going to roll over whether or not it's illegal for a 13-year-old to have a gun today.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN.